Hi, it's Cayman Reynolds, and it is the last week of March, and our honey flow typically starts around the first week of April, and there's some really important jobs to prevent swarming. One, we have to do regular checks. I think this one is in dire need of it. It's been about a week, and it was building up pretty good. This isn't one of our strongest colonies. It was kind of in a medium position, but things can change really fast. So I have some drawn honey super, or a drawn honey super. I have a box of foundation here, and I have more drawn comb later, but the main thing we have to watch out for is that initial hit of nectar, that coupled with a good pollen flow, and the brood nest just plugs out, and then we end up with a swarm on our hands. All right, so we have a good bit of bees here at the top, but we need to see what's going on. I don't see this as being completely full, and we need to see what the brood pattern's like. Looks like they have plenty of food just looking down into this colony. Let's scoot everything over so we have room to work. We're just gonna start here at the edge. So I can see a whitening of wax. There's new wax in here. If you'll look down right there, they've really fattened out that comb. And then if you look at these cells right here, there's a little bit of new wax. And I haven't been feeding, so that's from who knows what. There's red bud going right now. I imagine it's probably red bud and a few other things. And there's a small hive beetle. We're fixing to, yeah, one less hive beetle in the world. Woohoo. So we are actually fixing to put diatomaceous earth down in this tray. We did it last year with surprisingly good results. I mean, we must have killed 75 to 100 small hive beetles in just a month with this tray. And just some diatomaceous earth, and it fits into this Apame bottom board, which doubles as a pollen trap, and I guess a small hive beetle killer now. So we're going to be adding that. I really enjoyed that. I had some people ask about it, and I said, well, we'll give it a shot. So we just have more food here. So this colony is definitely in good shape when it comes to food weight. This isn't completely full. We definitely would like to keep a track on where they are swarm-wise. So let's get to the brood nest. Okay, we have a little bit of funky comb going on in this corner. We'll need to chip that off. It's more food. There's a little bit of eggs there. A little bit of eggs there. So for something like that, typically, I mean, you can smoke them out of the way. I typically look for the queen, shake the frame off, because smoking doesn't work quite that good. And we just don't really want to hurt any bees if we can help it. Shaking the bees off actually is a way more safe way of not harming bees. All right, so we've fixed that. I'm wondering if we have a swarm cell. I imagine we're fixing to find one. All right, here's some brood right there. So they're drawing this foundation out. And the reason they have a foundation, oh, this looks really good. Looks like there was just a little bit of buildup on this side here. They didn't finish it out last year, and we had made a split. Unfortunately, it was not super successful. We just had a terrible, terrible fall flow like many people in this region due to a drought and then massive amounts of rain and flooding. Those things happen. All right, more good brood. I'm not seeing any swarm cells yet, but that doesn't mean anything. This is the swarm cell time of the year. Okay, look at all this food up here. That's good capped brood, a lot of emerging bees on the way. Shake some of those bees out of here. And the reason we get rid of this, and I'll pick this up later, we prefer not to leave that on the ground. It attracts skunks and raccoons and things. I forgot to bring a bucket to put it in. But that is bee killers right there. Having that stuff in between when you move frames, that's how you crush bees and get them upset with you, or accidentally crush the queen, which would be the worst. I have a feeling this hive is fixing to blow up. Oh yeah, that is a lot of bee power on the way. It's here right now. So you can see how this young comb is getting really dark, almost paper thin. There are thousands of bees fixing to emerge out of this. Now check this out over here. Here's a queen cup. This is a little bit elongated and it's not dry and old looking. I'm not seeing anything in it, but that's been drawn out recently. Here's another one. We are seeing a lot of swarm cells and cup activities on a hive this size. See how they're drawing several right here. There's nothing in them, but they're filling the stimuli of that time of the year. And that doesn't mean that there's not some that they've started, but that's a good sign. Probably means that we've caught them in time. We definitely don't want to let them draw cells. I'd like to keep this hive together and show you how this went from a nuke last year to a honey production colony this year. Oh man, just another gorgeous frame of brood with food around them. This is excellent right here. Oh, so here's more queen cells, or queen cups rather. That is empty. This one has an egg in it. So we're just going to go ahead and, yep, oh, this one's a little bit more developed. Nothing in it though. Looking at the population size, looking at the food, they're drawing wax. There's tons of pollen. This hive is on the verge of beginning cells. I think you come back a week from now and you're just covered in it. Laurel, you actually have a pretty good cohort of bees behind you. Why don't you shift over this way and let them through? And so I think, okay, right here, they're drawing some foundation out. They're putting nectar in it. And that looks really good as well. So we gotta watch some stuff. We might do a little bit of checkerboarding here. All right, this isn't the best drawn frame either, but that's just food. So I'm gonna shift this. We don't really want to separate brood, especially if it's gonna be cold, but I am gonna shift that inwards because we're just blocking food frames, nothing else super important. Now, I really want to get down to that brood box. And see what's going on. But we need to get this back into here, get everything proper. Hopefully that foundation we put over there, they will finish drawing out and the queen will lay in it. This is why we've got to get this honey super on. And it's more than just, hey, let's get it on because they're going to fill it up tomorrow if the nectar flow starts. Oh no, I think the flow is probably further away than tomorrow. Bees need some time to rework this. The nice thing about using an uncapper and extracting in this way is now we're going to be able to reuse this. This has been stored since last year's honey flow. And you can see where there's just been a little bit of damage from the uncapper. And to a bee, it's a lot of damage. There's some tearing and various things. They've got to straighten this out. They got to reshape it. This is going to take a little bit of time. This isn't going to be really ready to put nectar in tomorrow. Now, the bees will be fast about this. It'll only take a few days, but you don't want to put honey supers on when the flow starts. You really like to have them on beforehand so the bees maybe have a trickle of nectar coming in and they are already putting a little bit in, and then when the big nectar flow hits, they're already used to going through the honey excluder, queen excluder rather, and then they just go right through it and start storing it immediately. Yep. We're just going to shift that right there. Good looking bunch of bees right here. This is a new smoker. It's not a datant, so that's all I'll say about it. Gets the job done for one hive. So this is some drone brood. See how it's hurt some bees because of that buildup in there. And so whenever I see this, we trim that out of there. It's you can't do anything about it. It's just part of it, but we try to avoid as much as we can. So we're going to scrape that out of here. The good news is probably removing some of that drone brood is removing some mites, and we want to get it all the way down here and so they won't have like a little foundation to start again. Again, we're gonna start at the edge. We're gonna scoot this over. If we wanna just inspect one frame, like right now, we wanna do a lot of inspecting because we're wanting to see about swarm cells and kind of where the bees are at. But if we were just like, okay, do we have a queen? Do we have food? We might actually just pull this, pull one frame out of the middle, keep it a really short inspection. We could do that. And I may do a little bit of that right now. And yeah, there's some brood on this second frame from the wall though. There's weight in this. I imagine usually there's a lot of pollen in these frames, and wow, yes there is. Usually the frame next to the one adjacent to the wall has a lot of pollen in it, especially this time of the year. So nothing in that cup. There's a tiny bit of brood in here. Well, there's a bunch of eggs in here, so she's been over here laying. That's really good. All right, so we are going to put this one right here. A lot of people recommend that you don't do that. Don't do it. It's my hive, I can do it because I want to. But you definitely don't want to leave that over there if the queen's on it. All right, this one is just full of eggs and young larvae. Not a lot of food in this one, but they have plenty in other places, and that's good because we just really want her to lay. So I see another cell right here. Cup. And, this time of the year, you just can't be too careful. If it's July and we're in a dearth period, there's no nectar flow, I don't care. This is going to be a long video, but I think this will be a good inspection video. This is March the 29th. So we have a lot of pollen. We have brood up in here. All right. Just go ahead and flatten that one out. Really don't want this up here. All right, let's give them a little bit more smoke. We're just seeing a lot more brood over here. We have eggs and larvae and capped brood. We have different stages. Looking really good. Definitely got to get that extra space on. One good rush of nectar and they're just hitting the trees. Very full. Again, we do have colonies stronger than this one. This one was a little bit smaller coming through the winter than we would have liked, but it's getting where it needs to be for the honey flow, so that's good. More pollen. They didn't draw this out all the way last year. They're starting to draw a little bit more over there. That looks really good. Still haven't seen the queen yet. Okay. Oh, there she is. Nice green dot right there. And this is a good location for her. You can see maybe down into here. There's eggs, there's larvae, and she's just looking for an empty spot to place a cell. And over here we have a new bee, and they emit pheromones. All these different stages of brood emit pheromones, uncapped brood, a brood that's emerging, and this signals to the queen, hey, there's space opening up over here. That's probably why she's on this frame. Okay, that cup didn't have anything in it, so we want to be really careful. We know the queen's in a good safe spot, so we are just going to put her up against this frame right here. You always have to watch those queens when you know where they're at. Make sure they're not close to these end bars, because that's where you could crush one in between the end bars right there. So I think we're fixing to enter some food. Yeah, this is just food. So we're going to see a lot more of that over on that wall. All right. We are going to put this back together. Besides these two, they stay back there. We're going to put these together. All right. It has been raining today, and these bees aren't really in the mood for this. If it was sunny and a little nicer, I think they'd be in a better disposition, but I got a couple that aren't super happy with Laurel. They're jealous of her good looks. And then I'm going to put this on here now. Something that I like to do because I have drawn comb. And folks, we're fixing to show you some more stuff, so don't go away. This is sponsored by Laurel. Actually, this video is sponsored by my mother. Without her, this wouldn't be possible. So, anyhow, Laurel's shaking her head. Hey, it's kind of true though. Here is some old comb. This is probably about a 3 or 4 year old comb. I'm not worried about it at all. This has got plenty of life left in it. But this hive died out. And people are like, hey, what do I do with this stuff? Is this bad? People on the internet are like, oh man, you got to get rid of this and all that kind of stuff. If you want to help the bees out, you can scrape them up, but there's some more bees down in there. This is where bees have been going into the trees for as long as they've been around. And they look for this old comb that's in these tree hollows or cliffs or wherever it is. And they'll see a dead out colony in there and they'll just take it over. Swarms absolutely love those dead outs. The bees are good at cleaning this out. This will be just fine. The only time I know of that you don't want to, goodness, that one bee isn't liking you, that you don't want to use combs when you have American foul brood. And so what I want to do here is add a little bit more space for the queen to lay. Here, Laurel. Smoke follows beauty. There you go. You know, we're trying to get these videos in. It's been drizzling and stuff. And the bees just don't like it. Don't like it at all. What I want to do is open this up a little bit. These bees are going to blow up when all that emerging brood gets out of here. It's going to be packed. And I don't want this hive to swarm on me. I want it to make a big honey crop for you guys to get to watch and for us to get to eat. Jimmy, he's expensive, you know. Look at that nectar I just shook out of there, guys. Wow. There is something coming in. Yesterday was a really beautiful day. I imagine most of it came in yesterday. So I think that must be from the redbud. What I'm going to do is remove some of these heavy honey frames on the edges. Yeah, this one's just solid right there. You know, we're not going to extract out of these right here. We'll give this to another, young colony. We've made some splits, just made some yesterday. Some of them could use a little bit of extra food. Yep, oh wow, look at that. So we have a little bit of a nectar flow. That's why we're here. We're doing all this video to show you guys, you better hurry up and get ready if you're not already. So this is food, this is food. Let's go all the way to the brood. We have 4.5 frames of brood, and I am going to stick 2 combs in here. This is a luxury of having a lot of hives. You have extra combs. This is why it's important to keep drawing and protect your combs. And we could use a lot of different combs here. I've got several to pick from. We'll give them this nice new one. It's a little bit fat right there, so I'm just going to flatten that out a little bit. That one must have been towards the wall and got a little bit fat. The bees will just chip that up. And now they can lay in that. And that's going to give the queen a lot more space to lay, room for food. We want to buy them just a little bit more time. And now I'm going to add this excluder right here. Whoops. And I forgot my 9-frame spacer, but spacing these even at 9 will get us some nice, easy to uncap fat combs. I'm going to try a lot more of doing 8. You can do this with drawn combs. That's close enough right there. So there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this box on so they familiarize themselves a little bit with these frames. And I'm going to put on some more drawn comb soon. I'll probably be in here next week. I'll throw another box or two of drawn comb. That's got a really nice coat of wax on it. Kathleen got these ready. We added some more of our own beeswax on them. It's super important. Oops, she got a little heavy-handed on that one. But it's super important to have a good coat on things. You really don't need a ton down into the cell, but having a little bit more wax does make a difference. Just be careful. There's a lot of crazy people on the internet who will scam you, selling you stuff that's not actually beeswax. And so, you know, make sure that you get a good source, and the bees will appreciate it. I hope to get this drawn. If we have a good year, a good hive like this might be able to fill 3 or 4 supers in this area in Tennessee, and this will be a good little start for them. So if you didn't have this comb right here, you would want to already have these foundations on and not put an excluder on. That excluder right there is going to slow them down if you're trying to get these foundations drawn. But if you already have comb, they're going to go up through there and get to this comb. They smell that. They're going to accept that as their own almost immediately. They just need to rework it just slightly. And then once they're used to going up there and they start putting a little bit of nectar, I'm going to drop a frame or 2 of foundations in between some of those combs, pull a couple combs up here. And what that is going to do is they're going to want to have combs across from the ones I bring up here, and they're going to draw a foundation a lot quicker. And it just really helps speed the process up. But if you don't have any drawn comb, don't put your excluder on. Put 2 boxes of foundation like this, and then just check it on your regular inspections. See if they're drawing it out, and if they are starting to draw it out, good. You got like 3, 4 plus frames. See if there's any eggs in there. Even to be safe, if you're wanting to use an excluder, shake all of the bees out of the medium supers, and then put your excluder on, because the queen oftentimes will go up, and then she will be laying in your mediums. And that's okay. If you get a little bit of brood up into there, it's not the end of the world. We just don't want them to do it a long period of time. It makes the combs a little bit tougher to uncap and less desirable looking. You could argue in some ways it could be healthier for humans. No one really knows. It's all natural, you know, that kind of stuff. So lastly, before we close this video, we're going to gotta make sure those are put together. This is a nice wax dip box, so just got it done. I really want, well, that is no good. Who needs a lid anyways? And we are just going to take this diatomaceous earth. We got to be really careful because we don't want to get this on the bees. And it doesn't really take much. I probably added enough already, but we want just about maybe 1/8 of an inch, and that's probably a little bit much. And those beetles just fall down in there and they get cut up. So the bees can't fall down in here. There we go. That's the ticket. And it just chews up those beetles. Oh, you see how I was doing, kind of felt like Bob Ross there for a second. Just happy little beetles. No, they're not going to be very happy at all. And I'm okay with that. I'm not Bob Ross and I'm not Bob Benny. Let them burn. So, all jokes aside, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.